Hi, Catherine. How you doing? I see you've got your first iteration up. And I've got that open. We'll go ahead and take a look at that. But before we do, I just kind of want to reinforce a couple of things. If you go over to the course announcements, and I'm just going to go over there right now. Let me show you what I'm talking about. But there's a bunch of course announcements in here. And here, as you can see, I've already got Welcome to Week 3 up for Sunday. But Welcome to Week 2, from Welcome to Week 1 all the way up, there's a series of very, very important videos in these announcements, and they all deal with spacing, letter spacing, kerning, tracking, letting, etc. So it's really, really super important to get a thorough understanding of the reason why we space, the reason why spacing is so important, plus several techniques and tips on how to space correctly. So the reason I bring this up is because students who review these announcements, and I actually can run some reports and find out exactly who is reviewing them. And without going into that, I just want to mention that students who do consistently review the course announcements in the videos therein score significantly better on the assignments than students who don't. And I think that's a pretty alarming statistic. I mean, the difference in the grades is pretty significant. So the reason I'm bringing this up is I just really want to reinforce the importance of watching these videos. Watching these announcements and the videos associated with each individual announcement. It's time consuming, sure, but it's just really a great way to reinforce your knowledge and to reinforce your understanding of the principles associated with every week's course objectives and learning outcomes. So that said, let's go ahead and jump right over to your work here. So I've got this document up, and I would consider this document to be perfectly spaced. Now, I spent a lot of time on this. This is really based on many, many years of experience. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now, the first thing I see in your work is that it's pretty good. It's a darn good start, but of course there's some inconsistencies. We can see that the N doesn't reach the baseline consistently. The R isn't reaching the baseline. And then my main thing is that none of the letter forms are displaying overshoot. Overshoot was covered during week 2 lecture, and overshoot is, you can see overshoot right here. Let me zoom in a little bit to show you what overshoot is. See how that E hangs above the mean line and below the baseline? All curved letters, as you can see, hang a little bit above the mean line, and the curved part hangs a little below the baseline. That's called overshoot. That really is a way to combat against an optical illusion that indicates that curved letter forms appear to be smaller than their counterparts who aren't curved. So you want to watch out for overshoot on all of your curved lowercase, both mean line and baseline, all of your curved lowercase letters. And then in your other lowercase letters, you've got some overshoot associated with the serif and the lowercase e, as well as the tittle. You've got a serif, and that teardrop serif right there is overshoot. And then in the A, you got some overshoot there. On the ascender for the lowercase d, you've got overshoot there, overshoot at the baseline. So you really want to take some time to depict overshoot. Really very, very important, and probably the most important optical relationship that we have discussed during week 2. Okay, so as far as your spacing goes, fire. The word fire isn't current at all. I mean, it's just you've got really wide spacing. This space right here is so wide, it almost looks like this is F-ire instead of fire. And also, significantly, this appears to be 4 separate letters instead of one individual word, as we can see right here. That's just read as fire. Right here, I think the spacing is a little bit odd, so you definitely want to watch your spacing there. Remember, your rules of kerning are applicable to serif typeface letter forms as well as sans serif, as in the banana example from last week. Now, I think the word "and" is kerned just about perfectly, and I think the word "ice" is kerned just about perfectly as well. So really good job there. Fire is just too wide. Now, in terms of letter spacing, now, the space between the fire and is going to appear bigger than the space between and ice. And the reason is because, if you recall from week 1 in our lecture discussing open these open counters right here on the lowercase e and lowercase a, that adds surface area, it adds volume. So what you want to do is to combat that illusion that this space is going to be greater than this space at an equal size. We want to reduce the space a little bit to accommodate for the negative space associated with those open counters of the lowercase e and the lowercase a, respectively. Okay, other than that, I think you're looking really good. So really fantastic start. Watch your letter, your craft. I mean, some of your letter forms, like that vertical stroke right there. I'm sorry, that vertical, the weight on this vertical stroke for the capital F, it's just way too wide, as we can see. Plus some other areas. Watch your finesse. Watch the finesse on the serifs. As we can see, yours are really cumbersome, whereas these are really streamlined and very streamlined and very minimal as compared to what you have here. Okay, so watch that. Okay, other than that, those are my recommendations for moving into your final submission. Now, one other final comment is that I see that you didn't post your work until Saturday, and that's kind of, I would implore you to take advantage of the setup of the class, and that is to post your work early. Now, this is due Wednesday. The first iteration is due Wednesday, so the reason that's important is so that you can take time. Now, if you submit late in the week, you're not going to have much time to make any significant changes for your final submission, so keep that in mind. All right. Questions, comments, concerns, clarifications, please let me know. Thank you very much.